Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to unpack the incredibly intricate and, honestly, just fascinating year-long marital customs of Eastern Sri Lankan Muslims. We'll be exploring a deeply structured cultural journey, one that starts on the wedding day but actually unfolds over an entire year. So how exactly does a historic community blend ancient regional customs with strict religious boundaries? Well, we're about to find out. We're diving deep into an amazing tapestry of family support, unique rituals, and adapting traditions. Let's get into it.
To start, Eastern Sri Lanka is home to a densely populated Muslim community, with roots that stretch back for centuries. And what makes their cultural fabric so captivating is how it closely mirrors many elements of the ancient Tamil population's culture. Yet, and this is key, it fiercely maintains its own distinct Islamic boundaries. Over generations, they've successfully adapted the deep-seated cultural traits of the region, creating a truly unique synthesis that governs their biggest life milestones.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. First, rituals after the wedding. Second, 6 months of support. Third, the independent household. Fourth, shared roots, distinct practices. And finally, number 5, the modern evolution. All right, section 1, rituals after the wedding, focusing on that crucial first week.
In this culture, the wedding day itself is really just the kickoff. It's the beginning of a deeply structured journey. Chronologically, the couple's steps, from the very day after the wedding all the way through their first 6 months, are governed by these ancient communal rules. Every single milestone, from the initial grocery run to physically moving into a new home, serves a strategic purpose in binding the two families together. We are basically tracing a path that guarantees the couple is integrated into a massive network of generational support.
So literally the day after the wedding, the groom tackles a tradition known as Opadu Puliodu Mopadu Irdodu. He heads to the market to procure exactly 32 specific essential household items. We're talking salt, tamarind, cardamom, cinnamon, high-quality spices, fresh meat and fish, Maldives fish, dry fish, rice, dal, sugar, and even betel nut and lime. But this is far from a simple run to the grocery store. Historically, this was a highly analytical, deeply public affirmation of the groom's prestige. It was a societal test. He had to prove to the entire community that he had the financial stability, the resourcefulness, and the maturity to provide for a brand new household.
Following that test, the couple undergoes a transition called Kal Mari Seluthol. Traditionally, this happens around the 7th day, though occasionally on the 3rd or even the day right after the ceremony. The couple travels together to the groom's historic family house. The bride is dressed in pristine new clothes provided by the groom's side, and the groom wears fine new garments from the bride's family. And when they arrive, it is a sensory explosion of sound and color. They're welcomed by the women of the family performing kudavai, which is this vibrant celebratory ululation that echoes through the courtyard, all accompanied by a traditional arti welcome ritual. The groom's mother then formally gifts them essential domestic items like a finely woven mat, pillows, and lasting kitchenware. It's a profoundly structured, beautiful merging of two lineages.
Moving right along to section 2. 6 months of support, featuring the wider community and some incredible feasts.
After that immediate week of rituals, the couple enters a phase defined by immense, unwavering familial support. Get this, for the first half year of their marriage, the bride's family takes absolute 100% responsibility for providing the couple's food. This massive logistical undertaking is called Aru Matha Soru, which translates to 6 months' rice. The arrangements for this require meticulous planning, often starting way before the wedding invitations are even sent out. It stands as this paramount public display of the bride's family's honor, their social standing, and their dignity within the wider community.
But it's not just the immediate family helping out. During that same 6-month window, extended relatives host lavish, ceremonial feast for the newlyweds. The couple shows up in their full, resplendent wedding attire, heavily adorned in fine jewelry. And the menu? It is incredibly specific, designed to showcase extreme generosity. Exactly 7 exceptional curries are served. We're talking country chicken, egg, a tart tamarind broth called pulianum, rich meat curry, stork, local mural fish, and various fried delicacies. This whole luxurious array is served over rich milk rice, finishing off with cooling curd and sweet bananas. Pulling off a full 7-curry feast requires significant wealth, acting as a testament to the hosting family's prestige. And just to elevate it further, before the couple leaves, the hosts present them with valuable gifts of pure gold or cash.
Now, for section 3, the independent household. It's time to transition into full adulthood.
Eventually, that incredible ancient cocoon of family support has to come to a deliberate end. The couple has to transition to cooking and living entirely for themselves. And in Eastern Sri Lankan Muslim tradition, a really fascinating matrilocal, or more precisely extralocal living arrangement takes shape. Traditionally, the bride's family physically builds the house, and the groom is the one who moves in. When the 6 months rice period finally wraps up, the groom's family arrives bearing 64 and 32 highly specific household and food items. That exact transfer of goods marks the precise moment the couple establishes a truly independent kitchen. They are stepping fully into their adult roles.
This year-long, carefully choreographed cycle of exchanges wraps up around the couple's very first Eid after the wedding, a milestone known as the Lai Perunal. To honor this, the bride's family prepares and delivers these elaborate, heavily adorned gift boxes called seppu directly to the groom's side. Once this grand exchange is finished, the dynamic completely shifts. Now, it becomes the newlyweds' turn to step up and purchase new clothing for both of their respective families. It's this singular act that signals their complete transition from supported newlyweds into fully independent, capable adult providers.
Section 4. Shared Roots, Distinct Practices. Let's look closer at this cultural synthesis.
Both communities living in this region share some deeply rooted regional practices, reflecting centuries of side-by-side existence. For instance, they both use formal Vaksada invitations for important events, and both utilize the Arti and Kuravai welcoming rituals to express joy. However, when it comes to faith, the differences are distinct and non-negotiable. While Tamils set marriage dates using a traditional panchangam and rigorously evaluate 14 astrological matches, Muslims expressly reject all forms of astrology. They rely strictly on the Islamic calendar and evaluate potential matches based entirely on family background, education, and shared faith. Also, and this is a very important cultural distinction to understand, Muslim women and men definitely do not wear a patu on their foreheads. This draws a clear, undeniable visual and religious boundary from their Tamil neighbors.
Even the act of tying the thali reveals these shared roots diverging entirely based on religious doctrine. Both communities tie a thali around the bride's neck, but Muslims adapt it purely as a symbolic identifier of marriage. They expressly reject the specific Mangalyam or Pulipal religious shapes used by Tamils. Plus, they absolutely do not participate in the traditional gold melting ceremonies or Sumangali rituals, ensuring their practice remains firmly within Islamic boundaries. It is just a powerful example of how a culture can adopt a regional custom while rigorously redefining it to honor strict religious boundaries.
Finally, Section 5, the modern evolution, tradition meets globalization.
Because, no cultural tradition stays completely frozen in time, right? Today, the intense impacts of globalization and modern technology are visibly shifting these ancient ceremonies. Traditional attire, like the groom's sarong and Turkish cap, are rapidly being replaced by tailored Western suits and ties. Brides are increasingly opting for heavily embroidered North Indian lehengas, ghagras, or modern Middle Eastern abayas over the traditional Kanchipuram silk saris. Furthermore, thanks to broad economic shifts and changing land availability, the ancient matrilocal housing tradition is evolving too. Grooms are increasingly taking on the financial and logistical responsibility of building the family home themselves, shifting away from centuries of tradition.
Before we wrap up, I have to share this highly specific, rather amusing historical fact about the traditional mahar or dowry payment. Historically in this region, it was often set at exactly 11, 101, or 1001 rupees. Now, why those odd numbers? Well, one very practical historical explanation is that the extra 1 rupee was simply a heavy metal coin placed squarely on top of the paper notes so they wouldn't blow away in the wind. A perfectly practical, everyday solution that somehow became an entrenched cultural staple over the decades. So, that leaves us with a fascinating final thought for this explainer. We've just explored how Eastern Sri Lankan Muslims maintain their distinct identity while navigating both deep regional roots and modern global shifts. So, I have a question for you. As globalization accelerates around the globe, how are the ancient community-centric traditions in your own culture adapting to survive in our modern world? Think deeply about that and keep exploring.